What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Nathan here with Win with Nathan. Guys, we're wrapping up 2025. Just figured I'd do a quick video. On this video, I'm going to do, it might be a little longer, but we're going to talk about something that you're not going to hear on some of the biggest channels out there. You're not going to hear it on any real estate platform. You're not going to hear it out there by the bigger pockets of the world or anything like that, because ultimately, right, it's just not sexy. And so making money in real estate can be great. It can be amazing, but passive income, building wealth, there's a lot of options in real estate, which is why I love it. But a lot of the people out there, like the bigger pockets of the world and so on, they're not going to teach this because they want to teach a course, right? They want to teach you how to do it. They want to give you a sample and you keep going. So in 2025, I've got short-term rentals, long-term rentals, I've got lease to own, and I did private money. And everyone out there, especially these platforms that analyze short-term rentals, they're always going to tell you short-term rentals are the best, right? And there's a lot of factors that go into which avenue or revenue stream is going to be the best, right? So if you take the tax benefits out, you take away the ability, a lot of people who buy short-term rentals, it's not passive because you're quitting your job to be a property manager, right? You're still working more. So if we strip everything down and we really want to focus on passive income, I'm going to tell you what most people aren't telling you. And there is a way to be very successful in real estate, make money in a very passive way where you do less than what most people think and still make money. And no, it's not lease to own. I think lease to own is a phenomenal vehicle. It's not even that, right? Because not everyone is meant to own property. Not everyone is meant to be a landlord. But guys, I'm talking about 60% returns annualized, 30%, 20%.
What you talking about, Willis?
Let's talk about what you can do to get in real estate, even if you have bad credit. Let's talk about winning in 2026 that no one is talking about. And by no one, I mean bigger pockets, the crash bros out there. A lot of people just don't find out how to do it. And guys, what I'm talking about is private money, right? So recently I've loaned out money privately for flippers, and it's basically, hey, I want 15% return, and it's up to 9 months. So if I do 9 months term, I'm getting 15% back. You might be saying, well, 15%, that's not bad, but it's truly passive, right? It's better than what it's doing sitting in my bank account. My bank account's making 0.25 per year annualized. So if I do 15% in 9 months, that annualized is 20%, 21% return annualized. So I am making a lot more money. Now, there's also flippers and rehabbers that can do it quicker. So let's say you do it on 6 months term, the same 15% interest, your money just annualized at 30%, right? Because you do it every 6 months, that means twice in a year, you're making 30% interest on your money. It's not bad. Now, if it's a big flipper where it's 33 months, right? That's annualized at 60%. Guys, where are you getting those type of returns anywhere else, right? You're not getting it on short-term rentals. You're not getting it on long-term rentals. You might be getting it on lease to own. I know you are because I've done that. But if you truly want to take all the work out of it and be very simple, here's my advice in 2026. Find a flipper, a rehabber, a builder you trust. In my area, there's a lot, right? Now, if you go to the Smoky Mountains, which is where I own, there's a lot of builders up there I wouldn't even trust with my enemies. We all know those people up there. I could say their names right now. We all could laugh about them, right? Some of the biggest names up there are biggest crooks out there, right? You don't want to trust your money with those people. So when you validate someone and say, hey, I want to trust this person, look at their resume. Talk to people who've loaned them money before. Maybe discuss doing a JV partnership. Maybe talk about doing a 50-50, 40-60, whatever. Right? But ultimately, if you want to just be truly hands-off and passive, find people you trust, a team of people you trust, and say, hey, if you keep flipping my money at 15%, I'm going to keep giving it to you. Right? That's what I'm doing. I think 3 deals right now are underway, about to be for that strategy, and possibly a 4th one. And I'm working on a 5th one that's going to turn into possibly 3 more. Right? So, and you don't have to have a lot of money, right? You could take $20,000 and loan it to a rehabber who maybe only needs $20,000 to do their private money, right? Guys, private money is phenomenal, right? I'm looking at private lenders all the time for the deals I'm working on right now, and there's 2 I love. There's private money, hard money, which is going to be the cheapest rate and the cheapest fees, but it's hard money, so you're going to pay it monthly, right? It's going to be interest only. That is a phenomenal hard money. I'm telling you right now, guys, like the private lender locally is like 3.5 points, 12.5% interest. They say they're a family office. They're terrible. However, the local people are still great for people who have really bad credit, really don't have anywhere else to go. This hard money lender is probably half that in fees and probably 2% less in rate, right? So I'm always going to go that hard money lender. Now you might say, Nathan, why'd you say there's a second one? Well, there's a second one who is still the same fees as the local people and the same interest rate. However, what they do that's different and is important for builders and rehabbers and everyone is they'll let you take all the monthly payments and put them in the loan, right? So you're not paying anything till the loan closes, till you refinance out, or until you sell the property. That is key for builders and flippers, as it's one less thing you got to worry about, right? You don't have to worry about making monthly payments. You just do it at the end. I'm willing to pay more for that type of product. Are you? You should be, right? So you got to weigh your options there, right? Do you go with someone at maybe 10% interest, or do you go with someone at 11.5% interest? Pay monthly payments. Don't worry about monthly payments, right? There's a reason for both of them. So the point to that is, guys, sometimes hard money lenders or private lenders, they might only need $20,000 for a rehab or a builder to say, hey, I need to get this construction loan to do this project. I need at least 20 grand. There you go. Right? Who out there has 20 grand they can loan? Who out there has 20 grand that's sitting getting 0.25? Right? It's the ABCs of sales. Always be communicating. Not always be closing, always be communicating. What I mean by that is every single person I talk to, I'm having conversations, getting to know them. I also just nonchalantly just ask them questions, and especially if they're into real estate or investing, I'll just be like, hey, what's your money doing now? If I know they quit a job in the last 10 years or any time, I'll say, do you have an old 401k? Do you have an old IRA? What are you doing with it? What are you making? My 401k right now is averaging 12% per year, my old 401k. I'm moving that money into a self-directed IRA because I can make a better return, right? So 12% per year, 401k, great. Self-directed IRA, I can flip that money twice in a year at 15%, right? What did I say? That's 30%. It's much better. It's still getting the tax benefits. I'm not your CPA. I'm not your tax advisor. I'm not whatever. Go talk to your professional. And if you want someone, again, I don't like the local people that much. I love the professionals out there. There's a great YouTube channel. Matt, what's his name? He does a phenomenal job explaining the strategy and explaining self-directed IRAs. I highly recommend their company. So in 2026, I think one of the best ways to make money in real estate that is going to be passive, and I'm just looking at return for return, is going to be private lending, right? I can put 100 grand down and go buy a short-term rental at 500 grand. And yes, it will appreciate over time and all that stuff. That is a long play game, right? That's the long game. If I want to be passive to make my money, and it will be fine. I'll maybe make, I hear people all the time saying 6 to 8% cash on cash return. Like that's your annual return per year. You're doing great if it's passive. Well, why wouldn't I just take that same 100 grand and go loan it out at 15% for a 6-month term and do that twice a year? Right? Again, the argument's going to be the tax benefits are better for short-term rental. But again, if we take that equation out, the tax benefits or the active lifestyle where I want to maybe stay there, and I truly want to be passive, why not do that? Why not, if you're an investor that already has short-term rentals, like me, long-term rentals, lease to own, why not diversify and do private money? Right? It's smart to diversify. So the thing that I love about the private money that none of these channels teach is that if you loan 100 grand out the first time and in 6 months you make 15 grand on top of that, well, the next time you loan out 115 grand, you're making 15% on that, right? So it's a compound interest effect. So if you want to build and take back control of your retirement or your, investments, private lending is a great thing. Now it is a little riskier, right? Because you have to know how to do the contract. You need to make sure there's a lien against the property. You need to make sure you vet the person. Again, the builders in the Smokies, there's a lot of good small builders up there. Trust me, there's a lot of good ones. But a lot of the big ones and the names you think about, they're not trustworthy people, right? You can ask almost anyone in the Smokies and they can tell you who to do business with and who not to do business with. So you want to vet them, right? You don't want to just have a resume, look at what I built, look at what I sold, You want to talk to the people that work with those. So in 2026, I'm going to challenge each and every one of you, think outside the box. Don't follow the bigger pockets thing and just think you have to do the Burr method or a fix and flip, because everyone I talk to who comes from bigger pockets over the last 2 years, they all were in this fugazi, I guess, which means make believe, right, world that all you had to do was slap some paint on and put a new toilet in and you'll be able to refi and get all your money out. I can't tell you how many times I had that conversation and told them, yeah, that ain't going to happen, right? It's not that easy, guys. So do the unsexy things and make wealth, right? If you want to be rich, rich is today's money today, then go ahead and find those people, maybe charge some points, charge 1 or 2 points and give them a lower interest rate and just keep flipping your money, right? That's basically not as passive as what I'm talking about, but at least you're making today's money with getting a point up front or a 1.5 or 2 points or even 3 points, or like the local people here, 3.5. That's today's money and charge 12%. It's not a bad idea. There's enough rehabbers and builders out there and investors that are trying to make money to keep up with affordable housing. And I truly believe that this is a path for many of us, many of you, to make money in real estate, right? This isn't selling a course. This isn't paying $30,000 to be part of a mastermind. Private money, bridge money, it's a great thing, right? If done correctly and partnered with the right people, you might never have to really focus on it, right? Until that flipper, rehabber, builder screws you over or takes advantage of you, or you think they do a terrible job. I basically said, as long as you keep taking my money and you keep making me money, let's just rinse and repeat. So guys, that's my $20,000 course that you guys can pay me for. That's my tip for 2026, right? I'm not really charging a course. I'm just saying, like, this advice, think outside the box, think about other options. Don't just chase the sexy things you see on YouTube, and don't just think like with the housing crash bros. You see them all the time talk about the market's crashing. They always talk about everything negative, but they never tell you how to succeed in real estate. Here's a way to succeed. Even if you have $10,000, there's flippers, wholesalers that will pay you interest on using 10 grand for earnest money. There might be a rehabber that says, I need 50 grand. I need, 5 people with 10 grand, all getting 15% interest back. It's the same as giving someone getting money from one person at 50 grand at 15%. So guys, if you have any questions, give your boy a call here at Win with Nathan, here at the Lender. I hope 2026 is going to be a great year for you. I know personally for myself, I got more aggressive going into 2026. It just so happened that I decided to put a HELOC on one of my properties. Everything, if the bottom falls out for me and my paycheck doesn't cover all my bills because I get let go or laid off or anything, I have a HELOC that will sustain me for 12 months, all my bills, right? So now I have money in my savings account, my checking account, and so on, that I'm willing to take out and loan more aggressively. So as I'm moving one of my old 401ks over, I am willing to loan more money out of my checking and savings account, my daily account, because my paycheck, the way I have it structured, my paycheck and my rental income should cover all my bills and then some. But God forbid something happens, I have a HELOC, I have a line of credit in my business as well. I'll be okay, right? That's why I'm being more aggressive. I highly recommend you talk to someone. Feel free to give me a call. But guys, it's worth making money. And honestly, this is the easier of all the deals. The only deal easier than this I've done was a lease to own, which is called a unicorn, how I made money on it. But there are easier ways to make money in real estate. Don't just follow the trend. Till next time, have a good one.